And if you're a fresher or yeah, if you're a college student, you can let us know like what is your year you are in. Okay, Mohammed is a fresher. So Kartik Raja, we have a fresher. Taran Raj, fresher. So fresher in the sense you have completed your graduation and looking for a job. Am I right? Okay. We have Trivedi is a college student. Yes. Thank you, Kartik. Okay. So what is your expectation? Why have you joined this webinar? As a fresher or as an employee person or as a college student, come and join this webinar. What are you expecting to learn here? Okay. Kalpesh has been recently employed. Okay, good. Good to hear, Kalpesh. Congratulations. Okay. So we'll start the session. So I think a lot of people are here to understand how to become an automotive plastic trims engineer, right? To get important knowledge about domain. Good. Okay, so how many of you like want to become a plastic trims design engineer, and why? Why do you want to understand like plastic trims? Why not other domains? Is there any particular reason why you want to become a plastic trims engineer? Okay, Karthik says, okay, in future we mechanical engineers mostly concentrate in design field, so I want to join. Okay, Karthik, good. So let me explain you. Let me go into the topic again. So first of all, what do we need to become a plastic trims design engineer? Okay. So when you go for any kind of interviews in the organizations or in any automotive companies, the first round might be a basic HR round where they will talk about like tell about yourself. Okay. It will be a telephonic conversation, and after you clear the telephonic conversation, telephonic round, you will be called in for an interview. So on the interviews, they might give you a part. Okay, this is actually for a design role. They might give you a part and ask you to create the part in the design software that the automotive company uses. Okay, for example, if you go for Daimler or Mercedes-Benz, they use Siemens NX. So the tool test what you get from these companies will be entirely on Siemens NX. But if you go for Ford or Chrysler, the tool test will be majorly on CATIA. Okay, yeah. So first thing is we need to have an in-depth knowledge on the design software. And as a plastic trims designer, you should have very good knowledge on the surfacing aspect. Okay, because all the components that we create in an automotive, like in a car, if you see the basic shape of the car, the outer body of the car, okay, the bumper, the rear bumper, front bumper, the door panels, all these are created using surface commands in the software. Second, okay, not just the software. Okay, knowing the software alone will not help you. You should have brief understanding or basic understanding of the different car components. Yeah, the plastic components you use in a car. Can you tell me like? Can anyone tell me like what kind of plastic components we use in the car? I'm just going through the chats. Okay, Elijah says I'm looking for new job opportunity. Yeah, Karthik, most of the companies are recruiting in automotive interior trims. Good. Okay, so that's a good one. Yeah, Karthik. A lot of companies they recruit a plastic trims engineer, so that's the one of the reason you're here. Okay, what are the software OEMs companies are using? Yeah, so normally automotive companies they use two major software. Okay, either Siemens NX or CATIA. 70 or 60 percentage of the companies they were using CATIA now, and slowly even NX is now taking over. So now 30 to 40 percentage of the companies, automotive companies, they use NX. It's either between these two software. Okay, when if you go for automotive OEMs, they either use Siemens NX or CATIA. And if you see off-road vehicles, special purpose machineries companies like Caterpillar, they use Creo. Okay, off-road machinery companies they use Creo. Okay. So dashboard, right. Yeah. What are the components? Dashboard, side, door, left and right, bumper. Good. Okay. Top roll. ABS is actually a material. Okay. Or are you trying to say anti-lock braking system? That ABS. Okay. Top roll, rims, correct. Lower substrate, bumpers, nap pocket, big A pillar. That's really good. Yeah. So it's really good. Understanding of you should have a basic understanding of what are the different components we use. Yeah, Fender. Fender is a good. Karthik, Creo is used in the special purpose machineries and for manufacturing companies. So casting components, the companies like who make gearbox, a lot of companies, these companies, they use Creo. But when it comes to surfacing, no, we don't use Creo in the industry. We don't. Okay. So if you see the exterior trims, you have components like hood, roof. Okay, this is the hood. You have the roof, your roof rails, your roof rear spoilers. Your spoilers come here. Okay, and your lift gate or tailgate, your Back door is called as lift gate or tailgate modules. Your rear garnish modules. Your side steps or skirts. Okay, or your fenders, your bumper, your front bumper, your rear bumper. All these components are made using plastics. If you see the interior trim components, your IP panel, instrument panel, your instrument panel or instrument panel is your the where you have your speedometers. Those are the speedometers is called as a IP panel. Okay, you have a grip handle, your switch panels, your pillar trims. Okay, what is a pillar? Okay, this is your pillar. This is an A pillar, this is a B pillar, and this is a C pillar. Your pillar trims are made using made using plastic. Your center console. So where you have your infotainment panels. Okay, your infotainment, your multimedia system, where you have your AC controls, your volume controls, everything. That kind of that cluster is called as your center console. Your indicator panels, your gear shift knobs, your trunk holes, your trunk board. You have your door module. Okay, so this is your inner side of your door. We have we use plastics here. Okay, so along with me, I have Mr. Sindel here, who is an expert in both body, exteriors, and interiors. So, Mr. Sindel will right now show you few of the components or parts which we use in the industry. Over to you, Sindel. Talk. Okay, yes, Ilicha, right. We are sharing the screen. Can you please wait for a minute? Mr. Sindel will be sharing his screen now. Okay, yeah, thank you. Hello, Sindel, are you able to share your screen? Okay, so this is actually a car fender. What you see on the screen. Are you able to see the screen now, everyone? Okay, yeah, thank you. So this is actually a car fender. We have a front bumper model. So this is a bumper model that we design in CATIA. So normally in the industry, we work on these kind of models. Yes, yeah, we have CATIA open. This is actually a front bumper model which we created in CATIA. Okay. So normally as a plastic trims design engineer, you would be expected to work on components like this front bumper, your fender, your rear bumper. Senthil, can you please open other components here? Right. Your front pillar. So this is actually a front pillar trim. See, the outer surface of the pillar is called the Class A surface, and the inner side where you have bosses and you have clips to fix to the panel, fix to the car. It's called as the inner surface, which we call as a class B surface. Okay, so can you please rotate the model, Simple? Rotate the model. Yeah, yeah. This is class B, and can you show the class A surface? Right. So the outer surface is completely plain, right? So this is a class A surface, and the inner surface which where you have the mountings is called the class B. Yeah, thank you, Simple. Then B pillar, we have a B pillar trim. Okay, so this is actually the B pillar trim. Okay, so B pillar comes at the center of the car. Okay, the pillar which connects both the front door and the rear door. That's called the B pillar. The partition between the front portion and the rear portion of the car. Okay, you have a C pillar. C pillar is the third pillar on the car. Okay, we have harness mounting clips. So, can anyone explain what is a harness mounting clip and why we use it? Anyone? Okay, it's an installation fixture, right? So this harness mounting clips have what is called as harness, wiring harness. Okay, all the wires, electrical circuits, everything in the car is called as an harness, electrical harness. And to hold all this harness, we have mounting clips to hold wiring of vehicles. Very good. Clips are used to route wiring harness. Good. Not to route, yeah, to hold. Right. Okay. We have interior door trim. Okay. So this is actually the inner part of the car. Inner part of the car. Yeah. If you see the side, yeah. Can you understand? You have what? Can anyone tell me what is a circular hole right at the side of the car at the bottom side? What is it used for? The circular hole. Yes, correct. That hole. Speaker. Good. It's used to install the speakers. Correct. So you have the door holder. Okay. So this surface it comes on the inner side of the car, and if you can you rotate the model? Simple. So you see the ribs here. What is the rib used for? The ribs and okay. Can you highlight that boss, Senthil? Yeah, that boss. Why do we require a boss? Why do we use ribs here? Right. Structural strength. Correct. Good. Ribs are used for creating, yeah, structural strength. Bosses are used for mounting purpose. Okay. Bosses are used for mounting. Okay. Yeah. Can you go to the other components? So these are like few of the plastic components that we create as a plastic trims design engineer. You would be required to work on this kind of components. So we have a tail lamp now. Okay. Can you show the front side of the tail lamp? See, plastic trims design engineer, he will also work on headlights, tail lights. All the lights here are made using plastics, clear plastics. Okay. And you see the wiring on the rear side? Yeah. So to have the wirings, you should have multiple supporting structures. Even the supporting structures, what you see here, all completely made using plastics. Okay. Headlight assembly. Okay. So this is actually the headlight. So a plastic engineer will also work on headlights. So can you name any of the companies who work on headlights and taillights? Do you know any companies who work entirely on headlights and taillights? Minda, Value, good. Value and Minda, they completely work on headlights and taillights. Okay, so this company, right? The companies like Value, okay, they supply the components. They create a lot of headlights and they supply to multiple OEMs. Do you know the terminology we use for these kind of companies who supply to OEMs? So they work only on creating a particular component of a car. Okay, so if you take brakes, there are companies like Brakes India who works only on brakes. Okay, and they will supply to multiple companies like yeah, tier one supplier. Good, good, Bhargav. Yeah, the companies who supply the component, the finished component like brakes separately or transmission, Bonfig Lolly, they work on transmission. Okay, so if you take seating, okay, you have Asia who work on only seating system of a car. So there are multiple. These companies who supply their components. The individual components are called tier one suppliers. The tier one suppliers, they supply only the particular parts to an OEM. Then we have tier two supplier who supply the completed part for this tier one companies. Okay, so this is an interior component. We have a dashboard, instrument panel. Okay, this is how your instrument panel styling will look like. You have a center console here. Again, we have the glove box. Okay, you have upper air vent. You can click on that upper air vent and dash panel, glove box, AC controls. Okay, you see the different parts here. Those are AC controls. You have a switch control. You have AC vent bezel, AC vents. So each of these components are made separately, individually separately in CATIA, and then they are like assembled together. Yeah. Can you move to some other next component? Okay. Fender BAW and Fender front fender. Okay. This is actually a BAW component. Okay. So we have this front fender, right? So, right. Are we clear? So these are few of the components like which you might be required to work on during an interview. So in an interview, what they might expect you to do is they will give you this component. Okay. So this Fender, they will give you as a step file, as a dump solid, and might ask you to recreate the part as a parametric model. So a parametric model is you have to create a new model which is editable, completely editable. So this CAD operations, what you see here, it's an editable model. So we have created this from a you might be given a dump solid and asked to create models. Okay, or you might be given a 2D drawing, and from the 2D drawing, you would have to work on a 3D component. Sindel, do you have any 2D model, 2D drawings with you? No? So 2D drawings, they might give you basic 2D drawings, and mostly it will be a plastic component. And from the 2D drawing, you have to create a 3D model from that. Okay, no problem, Sindel. It's fine. Yeah, you can share it like once you find the model. We can show it to the students. Okay. Do we have any doubts till now? No, sir. Yeah. Thank you. So I'll restart the session again. Yeah. Can you see my screen? Okay. So these are few of the components that you might be required to work. Okay. And not just that. Okay. It's only that the tool part. Okay. After the CAT test is completed, they might call you for a technical interview. Okay. So what do they ask in the interview? Okay. So whenever you work on a plastic component, you should be well conversant on the design considerations of a particular part. Okay. So when I say design consideration, can anyone tell me like what's the design consideration? For example, if you take the plastic component, okay, so you have different materials for plastics. So can anyone tell me again what kind of materials we use in plastic components? What are the different plastics we will use? You have PS, ABS, PP, PVC, good. ABS, polypropylene, Ganesh says ABS, good. Polycarbonate for carbonate. You have multiple materials. Okay, you have PS, PUR, you have PVCs, PAs, ABS, HDPE, LDPE, PP, PPE, UP, PBTs, POMs, PVCs, again PETs. Okay, so when you take bumpers, normally a bumper will be made using either PBS or PBTs or PS. If you take just a seating system will be made using PP or ABS. Then dashboards are made majorly made using PP and ABS and PPEs as well. If you take fuel systems, most of them are made using HTPEs and POMs. Then if you see the body panels alone, again PP is majorly used, PP and PPEs. If you say take the interior trims again they go for PP, ABS, and PETs. Sometimes we use PVC as well also. Electrical components we use PP. Exterior trims again majorly we use ABS, PAs, and PBTs. If you take the lighting mostly PCs we use PC, polycarbonate, and PBTs and ABS. Then upholstery or if you take the liquid reservoirs, we use PPs and PVCs majorly. If you work on a particular component, you should be able to understand what kind of material you need to use for that particular component. Okay, so material consideration, it's really important. So again, material consideration, it depends on the type of vehicle and the budget. So normally like top end vehicles where you have like the budget is like too expensive, they use really good quality material, but again, they use soft trims as well on that. Then it comes the radius part. So what is radius? Radius is nothing but the fillet here, fillet flow. Okay, these fillets are called as the radius. So normally, whenever you work on radius, the radius has to be somewhere around zero point 0.9 to 1.2 times the thickness of the part. So if you don't give that radius, then there will be completely defects on the part, and the part there will be a lot of failures on the part. The stress ratio will be like too higher. The reason for giving fillet radius is to have a smooth flow, okay, and to avoid the stress condition on a particular feature. Okay, materials selection depends on the company budget, right? Yes, because not company budget, on the budget of the car, right? Yeah. Then wall thickness. So when I talk about yeah, we should have uniform wall thickness. Okay, the minimum wall thickness should be somewhere around 2 to 3 depends on the part as well. If you take the headliners, yeah, normally the headliners we use more than 4 because of soft cushioning. And if you take the hard plastics, any hard plastic like front bumper or rear bumper, the basic consideration would be 2 to 3 So they might, yeah, the interviewer will expect you to know all this design consideration if you want to get into plastic design as a plastic design engineer. Then you have gate locations. Again, gate locations is entirely depends on the manufacturability of the part. So what are the manufacturing process you intend to use for the designing for making a particular part? Depending on that, you should be designing your gates accordingly. Your draft angle. Why do we need a draft for any part? Again, what is the maximum wall thickness of plastic? Okay, that entirely depends on the part. As I said, okay, normally it's 2 to 3 I'm talking about the automotive industry. Okay, and few parts we even go up to 4 to 5 Okay, so my question, why do we need a draft angle? Can anyone answer that? Right, very good. Who is it? Kavinish. Exactly. So draft angle is for mold ejection. Okay, for removing the part from the mold, for ejecting it easily, we give a draft angle, and draft angle will be around 1 degree to 2 degrees. It shouldn't go beyond that. And do you know what is a negative draft angle? And why do we give? Where should we give negative draft angle? So normally all draft angles should be a positive draft angle. If you give negative draft angle, then the manufacturability of the part is going to like become very complex. Okay, the operations will be, it will lead to expensive manufacturing process. So always avoid giving negative draft angle for any components. We shouldn't give any negative draft angle. All the draft angles should be positive. Then we have ribs, inclusion of ribs. Why do we need ribs? What is the use of rib? Someone said that before. Yeah, we use ribs for strengthening the part. Okay, the rib thickness normally should be around 50 to 70 percentage of the part thickness. Okay, if you take this part, see, we have this is a thickness of the plastic component. And if we are giving a rib to increase the thickness, increase the strength of the part, the rib thickness should be anywhere around zero point 0.7 to zero point 0.5 to zero point 0.7 times the thickness. We have given 0.5 T here, but it can be around 4.5 to 0.7 T. Are we clear? Okay. Then we have mold shrinkage. Okay, so mold shrinkage is like to avoid mold shrinkage is a very common defect which happens in plastic. So to it happens like if the radius flow is not uniform, or if there are unwanted rips on the part, if the design intent of the part or the design of the part is like not proper, then you get mold shrinkages. So how to avoid the mold shrinkage? Then you have the final special features. Like special features are more like undercuts. When you overlap one part with another part, okay, and to give a better fit and finish, you have to give the undercuts. You have mountings, your dog houses, mountings, your snaps, your fits, your snaps, or the undercuts, all the holes. These are all called the special features which are used to overlap one part with one part to another part, or yeah, to join two parts together. So these kind of components are called as special features. Again, if you see the boss here, typical boss, if you are designing a boss here, on which you have to give for mounting purpose. Okay, we have a counter bore here, which is the diameter is D, and the hole size is small d. So the minimum thickness of the boss should be around 2 to 2.4 times the D here, the counter bore or the whole dia here. Okay. And the basic design guideline for designing a counter bore or counter sink, it can be is like the height or the depth of the counter bore should be zero point 0.6 to 1 mm, zero point 0.6 to zero point 0.8 or zero point 0.6 to 1 mm maximum times the thickness. Not thickness, okay, point, okay, fine. And again, the depth of the hole. See, whenever you design a bores, there's a minimum thickness or minimum material you should have here to avoid the failure. Okay, and this whole depth should be zero point 0.3 times the thickness of the part. It can be up to maximum of 0.3 times max. It can't go beyond 0.3 times. Okay, that is the distance between the hole and the top face. Are we clear? Right. So we have coring. I'll explain you about coring and corner design. So it's not just the design considerations here. See, if you see the left side, these are all like incorrect designs. Okay, why is the design incorrect? Because there is no draft here. Okay, so unless we give a draft and fill it, the part can't be easily ejected from the mold. So we shouldn't design any straight parts. There should be a draft angle for all the parts that we design. Okay, and if you see the part here, okay, coring or uniform wall thickness. The part here is there is a lot of material here. Okay, so what will happen if we have materials here? The weight of the part is going to increase. So I don't want the weight of the part to increase. Okay, so depending on the functionality of the part that we are going to design, we have to reduce the materials wherever it's possible. So normally we have a hole here and we have two ribs or two ribs here. So the entire part should have the uniform thickness of the strip here. So this design will have a lot of material and it's going to increase the weight and there will be a lot of shrinkage issues. But whereas if you see the uniform wall thickness, the part will be it will be easy to manufacture and you'll avoid a lot of wastage here. Like there won't be too much materials and it will reduce the weight of the part and it will add more strength to the part as well. So these are the basic design considerations for any plastic trims. Okay. So again, I was talking about materials, right? So what are the different materials we use in plastic trims? Okay. So if you see the lighting, you use PC. I was talking about PCs and PMS, right? Lighting, we use PC and polycarbonate. And instrument panel, we use polycarbonate and ABS. For bumpers, again, it's going to be polypropylene, ABS. Under the hood, the components, we have PAs and PPs and PBTs. Fuel system, HTPE, as I told you before. Seatings, we use PUR and PPs. Door handles, PA and ABS. Wheel houses, acid resin. Body, we use PPO. Upholstery, PPs. So these are the, depending on the component, we'll be using different materials. Okay, now then the next kind of knowledge which we require in the industry from our design engineer should be the plastic manufacturing process. So can anyone tell me like what are the different manufacturing techniques or process we use in like to create plastics? What are the different molding process? Molding, good. Injection molding, blow molding, injection molding, 3D printing, very good. Vacuum forming, good. Vacuum forming, who said that? Arun. Blow molding, injection molding, extrusion. Okay, good. So these are the different plastic molding process we have. Rotational molding, injection molding, blow molding, compressor molding, extrusion, and thermoforming. Okay. So if you take the large parts in the car, normally they go for rotational molding. They can use multiple ways. But if you see the smaller components, normally compression molding is used only for creating smaller components. Okay. So normally rotational molding or blow molding, they use it for creating hollow parts. Any kind of hollow parts, they go for rotational or blow molding, depending on the size of the part as well again and the cost involved. If the budget is like too stringent, normally we go for rotational molding. If we have higher budget, yeah, we can go for blow molding. And injection molding, the cost is going to be the highest because depending on we have to create the dies and molds. The cost of the mold is going to be very, very huge when it comes to injection molding. Okay. Even compression molding, like the cost will be like comparatively like lesser, but not up to the level of injection molding. Any doubts here? Are we clear? So what I'm telling you is these are a few of the things we require, or when we interview any candidate, I ask all these questions to them. So to check whether the candidate has very good, strong manufacturing knowledge on particular plastics. Okay, because when we hire design engineers, we always make sure that we check only not only for the CAD proficiency. We also check whether they have proper tooling knowledge, whether they have proper material knowledge, whether they have proper manufacturing knowledge, whether they have knowledge on DFMEA. Do you know what is DFMEA? Okay, design failure mode effect analysis. Okay, that is DFMEA. So why we use DFMEA? DFMEA is normally used for understanding what components we are doing, what kind of failure might happen for that particular component, and how are we going to troubleshoot the failure. So everything, all this will be mentioned in a DFMEA sheet. Okay, so if you check on our LinkedIn page, few of our students might have posted DFMEA sheets. Okay, they have worked on DFMEA projects, so you can get a good understanding of what is DFMEA. Those who are on LinkedIn, you can always go and check the DFMEA sheets from our students. Talking up, yeah, DFM. So Sheikh has replied design for manufacturing. Correct. So people, we should have knowledge on DFM, design for manufacturability, then DFA, design for assembly, DFC, design for cost. There are multiple, design for methodologies if we can use. So having a knowledge on all this DFM, DFA, DFC, DFX, okay, and your cost reduction methodologies. You have VAV, WAVE. So these are like cost attacking techniques. So normally, when as a costing engineer, as a design engineer, you should be able to understand where it's going to incur a lot of cost for the company and how to reduce it. Okay. So when I talk about a design engineer, normally a design engineer in the industry, we require him to be exceptionally strong in surfacing because all the components that we are going to create will be entirely made on surface. So be it a CATIA or be it NX, you should be very skillful in surfacing, advanced surfacing knowledge. Okay, you should be very confident on the software that you're using. You don't need to learn 10 different softwares. That's not going to help you at all. Being strong in one particular software, okay, and you should be able to do any kind of models that we give on in that particular software. It will make you easier to find a job easily. And learning one software, like if you have the complete control on CATIA, learning NX will hardly take 1 week because if you have like the design knowledge and how to use CATIA to an expert level, okay, moving from one software to NX will hardly take 1 week to 10 days. You will easily like learn NX anytime. Or if you already know NX, learning CATIA will not be a tough challenge for you. But ensure that you are an expert in one particular software which they use in the industry, okay, and you can easily find a job. That's the easy way to do it. SolidWorks, is SolidWorks good? Yeah, SolidWorks is good, but we don't use it in the automotive industry. So if you take semiconductor industry, the consumer electronics, your washing machine, refrigerators, all these industries, they use SolidWorks. Okay, but when it comes to automotive, no, we don't use SolidWorks at all. Okay, yeah, coming down to the technical round. CATIA, NX, and Creo. No, not Creo. Creo, as I said, it's used only for a special purpose industry. defense sectors, not even, yeah, even in defense sectors, like only very few companies, wherever we need complex surfacing, these complex surfacing are only created using CATIA or NX. That's the main reason that we go for CATIA or NX for automotive industry. And aerospace industry, 99% of the companies use CATIA alone for all the aerospace. If you take Boeing, Bombardier, Renault, sorry, not Renault, Dassault, if you see Rafael, all air Bell helicopters, all aerospace industries, they use only CATIA for the designing purpose. Okay, but whenever we fresher find a job, CATIA is very hard. Exactly. See, when you go for any technical interview, see, these are few of the openings that you can find on the internet, or you can, like, many companies give. So they basically expect you to know, have you have experience. You should, yeah, experience. They expect you to have basic experience. So as a fresher, again finding a job in the industry, it's tough because the companies, they don't have time to invest in training one particular person and then taking them. Yeah, very few companies do it. And even the companies who do it, they recruit the freshers directly from top tier colleges like IITs and VITs. So people, like students from these top tier institutes, they can directly get into the Ford Motors or any companies as a college graduate, and they join as a trainee. But normally from people from the other colleges, they have to gain some experience, because experience is expected by everyone in the industry. And at least if you don't have the experience, you should have knowledge on the plastic design guidelines, manufacturing consideration, whatever I told you. These are really important to get into the industry as a plastic terms engineer. Okay, so they are expecting you to have a experience on DFMEA. Okay, work experience in Team Center or UGNX. Okay, so I have a question here. I have a great knowledge in SolidWorks and AutoCAD. Do you have any industry options? Can you mention some? No, AutoCAD, no, we don't use in the automotive industry, and SolidWorks, no. So without having relevant knowledge on a particular thing, particular software that we expect, no, we don't give. Yeah, as a SolidWorks engineer, we will not take you. They expect you to be proficient in CATIA. Okay, so if you know SolidWorks, no, it doesn't matter the industry people. Okay, as a plastic tools engineer, normally we expect at least 1 year experience. For basic, there are few fresher openings, but again, for the fresher openings, the fresh openings for freshers are very limited. And even for the freshers, what we will do, like they will expect you to have worked or have, yeah, they will have. We will expect you to have project knowledge. When I say project knowledge, it can be like any component that you have worked, okay, as a project. So if you say that I have like worked on few fender components, I have worked on few tail lamps, then it adds more proficiency to your resume, to your CV. And as a fresher, if I find someone, okay, as a fresher, he has good experience on or good knowledge on the plastic design guidelines or method to yeah, manufacturing knowledge. If you have knowledge on DFME, you will be like yeah, you will be spotlighted. Okay, for example, when I have two persons, one person, like he knows AutoCAD or SolidWorks, and again he has knowledge on CATIA, but not up to an expert level. But he can work only on part design, but not on surface. But again, I have a second person who has good knowledge on manufacturability, who has good knowledge on manufacturing process, design consideration, plastics, and again, who is an expert on advanced surfacing. Then of course, like I'll be like choosing the second person over the first person because he has more knowledge. So end of the day, it not only experience, okay, they need require experience, but again, if you don't have experience, if you can showcase to the hiring managers that you have good knowledge, project knowledge on particular topics, then there are very good chances that you will be selected in the interview. Are we clear? Right. So basically, like plastic trims engineer, it starts from 2 to 5 years. So if you want to get into any OEMs or big companies who hire plastics, they don't recruit freshers. So to gain experience, you have to join any companies who work on plastics. Okay, and there are few small companies who recruit plastics engineers. You can join them, gain some experience initially, and after you gain that experience, you can slowly move into big top automotive companies. Am I clear? For people who are asking like how without an experience, how can I get into the automotive industry? Yes, the market standard is this is the market standard. We are also a staffing company. Okay, so Rift is actually our learning platform. Our parent company is called Designosis, and Designosis, we are a staffing partner for Renault, Nissan, for Ford, And whenever we hire any students or anyone, mostly we send our students for placement drives to these companies. They expect they are clearly very clear on the experience level. Okay, they don't give any like they don't prefer any experience or they don't prefer any freshers now. So they expect minimum of 2 years experience on a particular domain. So without that experience, it's really tough to get into the industry as a plastic drums engineer. Okay, so you can try looking for a few companies out in the market who are like looking for freshers. Go and work in these companies, gain that knowledge, gain that experience, and then move into automotive companies. Okay, I'm just going through all the chats here. I have great knowledge on SolidWorks. How to enter into the field? Which software is best? Okay, so I have a question like how to enter into the design field and which software is the best? No, there is nothing like best software. Okay. Yeah, and the software that you want to focus entirely depends on your target company. So, for example, if you want to get into automotive field, learning SolidWorks is not going to help you because in the automotive field we either use CATIA or Creo. So you can either you learn CATIA or Creo. Again, that depends on what company that you're targeting. Okay, for example, uh, if you are interested to work with Mercedes Benz, then Mercedes-Benz, they don't use CATIA, they use NX. So you become proficient in NX and slowly you can find a job into Benz. If you want to get into Ford, Ford doesn't use NX, we use CATIA. So you can learn CATIA, be proficient in that and in CATIA and slowly you can find a job in the industry. Am I clear? Are we clear? Can you show us ideal resume for automotive terms? There's no nothing like ideal resume. For example, if you are okay, let's say that if a candidate like wants to apply to this job, okay, what he should have in his resume is he should have trims, interior trims. That keyword, there's a keyword. Okay, you should have show that you have some experience, or you should show that you have knowledge on some plastic trims parts. You can explain like some fender part or B pillar part that you have already done. Automotive experience is must. Strong communication skills, should be able to join in for 5 days. See, if the GD&T, DFMEA, these are keywords here. Okay, you have packaging knowledge. If you have all these keywords, these are keywords. Okay, depending on the job you're applying, alter your resume according to that. Have like put all these keywords, and only if you have the keywords in your resume, the resume will be shortlisted or it will go to the hiring manager's table. Because the hiring managers, they get more than 1,000 resumes every day, and depending on their requirement, they'll just type the keyword and search in their database. And if your resume doesn't have the keyword, your resume will not even go to the hiring manager. And that's where we come into picture. When we train students, we not only like just give them training. We have the complete staff. We have our own staffing solution. We also refer students into the industry. So if you take me, I have almost 15 years of experience in the automotive industry. Have been hiring people for Ford, Renault Nissan, General Motors, Benz, Daimler, Chrysler. So I have very good connections in the industry. So I can directly refer your resume into, so it doesn't have to go through any ATS system. So I'll be directly talking to the hiring manager and I can refer you. So the referral is again one of the way in which you can get into the industry as a fresher. But again, without reference, you have to like apply into the job portal. Okay. And when the hiring manager has to look for the keywords, and if your resume has the keyword, then your resume will get shortlisted. Again, if he finds that you are a fresher, chances are that he might go to the next CV. He might like put you on hold. And again, if the position is like it's for a fresher position or junior engineer position, chances are that you will be considered depending on the projects that you have worked. So unless you have a strong resume, unless you have a strong portfolio, getting into the industry would be tough. See, normally, as I said, skills, experience is required. Okay, you have attitude and aptitude interviews. Plastic domain, they'll check whether you have plastic domain knowledge. What's your software skill? Like if I'm going to hire for Ford, I'll check your CATIA skills. If I'm checking hiring for BMW, or if I'm hiring for Mercedes Benz, I'll be checking your NX skills. Okay, whether you have done any projects in a particular domain. So even though if you don't have any experience, if you have worked on some dog houses, if you have worked on any plastic trim parts, interior trims or exterior trim parts, that will add more weightage to your resume, to your CV. Okay, your approach towards the job and the life, yeah, that's very important. They'll check how dedicated you are. They'll check how like about your integrity. If you're given a work, whether you would be able to do it in a deadline. So basic, it will be more like a psychological question. So let's say that I'm giving you a work, and at the end of the day, you are not able to complete the work on time. So again, the customer says that the work is really important. So how will you handle the situation? Okay. So how you're going to answer for that question will be influential in getting into that, in clearing the interview. So finally, progressive trait of your personality. Okay. So these are few of the questions you might expect. Okay, sir, I want to enter into plastic domain. So how to enter? Please suggest me. Because if you want to enter into the plastic domain, first, upgrade your skill set, work on lot of projects on the plastic domain. You take few components that I think Sindhil had showed you, right? The fenders, the A pillar, B pillars. You can work on these components and build a strong portfolio. Building a strong portfolio is really important because when you hire for a plastic trims engineering job, you can send your portfolio to the hiring manager, and he will have a complete understanding of what are the parts he have worked on. So he will be really confident that you know how to work. If the hiring manager is giving you a work, he should be confident that you will be able to clear it, come or do the work. And to make him confident, you have to showcase all the different projects that you have worked. If you don't have a strong project experience or a strong project portfolio, I'm talking only for the freshers because you don't have experience. We require experience, we expect experience, and there are few hiring managers who will also like oversee the experience. Okay, so even if a particular candidate doesn't have an experience, we'll see like what kind of projects you have worked on. And if you don't have any relevant projects exposure or experience, again we go to the next candidate. So upgrade your skill set, which will help you get the plastic job. Elijah, can you upload the 3D model of B pillar? No, sorry, Elijah, we can't upload the 3D model here. So normally the 3D model is given to our students as a project. So whatever you have seen on the screen, whatever Senthil had shared you, these are the projects that our students are going to work using in the project in the plastic trims batch in the class. We conduct plastic trims training. So if anyone wants to like learn get into the plastic trims domain, we can help you in giving the training. We can upgrade your skill set. We can help you prepare your CV properly, prepare your portfolio, and we can refer your CV into the industry directly. And entirely, it depends on your performance in the interview, how you are going to perform. That will entirely, your selection entirely depends on your performance. Okay. So, which companies hire plastic trims engineer? Okay. So, if you have see, you have Bugatti, you have Jeep, Ford, Mercedes-Benz, Nissan, Mitsubishi. Okay. You have Chevrolet, Kia Motors, Skoda, Maybach, Fiat, Renault, okay, Honda, Rolls-Royce, Ferrari, Hyundai, Tesla. So these are the companies who hire plastic trims engineers. Okay. So the career path and salary of a plastic trims engineer. Okay. So as a fresh graduate, you will be taken in as a graduate engineering trainee. Okay. Your experience can be 0 to 1 years of experience. The pay you can expect here is 3 to 5 lakhs per annum. Then if you go your next step after some 2 to 3 years, if your performance is really good, you will be moved to a engineer position. Okay. And again, you can expect a salary of 5 to 9 lakhs. Then you have an assistant manager or team lead position. After your, like, if you have an experience of 5 to 8 years, you can expect a salary of 8 to 15 lakhs per annum. That's close to 1 lakh per month. Then finally, your domain lead or manager. And once you become a domain lead, like for normally in Ford, the pay scale would be anywhere around 25 to 30 lakhs. Okay. The managers, they get more than 40 lakhs in Ford. Okay. And if you have, like finally go for GM General Motors, you can expect a pay of 35 lakhs per annum. Okay. So this is the market standard. And what is the skill set required to become a plastic trims engineer? Okay. So for a fresher, you should have very good knowledge on your CAD skill. Okay. Either in CATIA or NX. Then plastic trims component knowledge, then material knowledge and manufacturing knowledge, process knowledge for an entry level engineer. And as like after 1 to 2 to 3 years, we expect you to have an excellent CAD model knowledge, excellent vehicle development process knowledge. Okay, so normally when we create a vehicle, there will be different milestones. Okay, we call it as like builds. So we have X0 build, M1 build, M2 build, prototypes. Then finally it goes into like after all the builds, it will go into like SOP, standard operating procedure. Okay, then you should have knowledge on master section and packaging. Okay, so master sections is again like important here. We have CAE manufacturing knowledge. You should have a good knowledge and a technical documentation. Okay. So again, like the skill set required for after 5 years or 6 years, we expect people to have knowledge on design concept study. Okay. Validation, evaluation. Okay. Design proposals. They should have knowledge on design process and tool development process. Okay. So can anyone tell me like, are there any engineers with more than 6 years experience or 7 years experience here? So if there are people with more than 6 or 7 years, okay, what do you feel about the industry? Why do you think as a fresher or like yeah, I'm talking to students here. So why do you think that people with more than 7 years or 8 years experience they are getting laid off now in the market? A lot of people are getting laid off in the market recently. Might be due to the pandemic also. But why are these particular people laid off but not the others in the organization? The reason is quite simple. Okay, so as we grow, okay, we expect an experienced person to have knowledge on all these topics. These are advanced topics. And when a particular person doesn't have experience or knowledge on these topics, even a fresher can replace him. Okay, he would be working only on CAD. So when someone works only on CAD, a fresher can be trained and they can work on CAD. So there's no point in paying a higher salary to someone who is working only on CAD. So if you want to settle down in an industry and have a job security, make sure that you have good knowledge skill set which can't be replaced by anyone. Okay, unless the company feels that you are irreplaceable, there is no chance of there's no job guarantee for you. So ensure that you have very good knowledge. Yes, Sindel, both softwares are in high demand in the automotive industry, correct? Okay, so we are asking, can we get the recording of the lecture? Yeah, those of you who have registered for the session will get the recording on Teams. Check the average salary of a plastic trims engineer. Normally, we have it ranges from $25 to $80, $80,000. Here in India, you can expect anywhere around the basic design engineer would be getting 2.61 lakhs. Okay, then and an engineer you can go up to R&D 4 lakhs, 5 lakhs. Okay, and a component engineer, release managers, they get around 7.5 lakhs. Now, last week, even I was hiring for four. So, four people, they were for a 5 year experience per person, they were ready to pay around 12 lakhs. So, your salary entirely depends on your skill set again. Okay. So, it's not a constant salary. I have seen people with more than 10 years experience who are getting 10,000 or 12,000. Okay. The reason again is their skill set. They don't know anything other than CAD knowledge. So with the limited CAD knowledge they have, they can't move to other different organization, and the current organization, they will be paying them very meager salary. Okay. Even with 10-year experience, there are like design CAD engineers who are getting 15,000 per month. And I have seen 2 years experience with people in the industry who are getting 15 lakh CTC as a design engineer. Okay, so there are cases in which the 2 year or 3 year experienced person can reach 15 lakh entirely based on his skill set and his not just a skill set. You should be able to convince the project manager or the hiring manager that you are really capable. So it entirely depends on your negotiation power as well. So the more you negotiate to the client, yeah, the more he'll be willing to pay you. The more you negotiate and make them understand that you have very good skill set, very good knowledge in a particular domain, they will be ready to take you in with whatever be the cost. So entirely depends on your negotiating power and your knowledge, skill set. Okay, so if you see the company-wise salary range report, okay, so as a fresher, so this is a company-wise salary report. Okay, so the reason I have added this question is I have seen a lot of engineers who have passed out and looking for a job. Okay, and they are unable to find a job in 1 year. Okay, even after 1 year, due to the market situation, and as a fresher, we normally they don't get a lot of interviews. So how many freshers? Like I feel that we have a lot of freshers here, right? So have you applied to any companies? Have you applied to any interviews? Have you been to any interviews? Were you called for any interview? Or were you even not called for the interview? Like even after applying, other people who can say that I have been applying to a lot of jobs, but I'm not being called for an interview. Do you have people like that here? So are there students or freshers who feel that, okay, I have been trying for a job. I completed my graduation in 2020 or 19, but for the last 1 year, 2 years, I'm looking for a design job, but I'm not able to find a job. Like I'm not getting even the interview calls. Okay, why do you think that you're not being called for an interview? You don't get even call letter for interview call letter. First, the main reason is like if you're applying for a role which says that you need 2 years experience or 2 to 5 years of experience, and as a fresher, if you're still applying to it, they will not even read your resume at all. Okay, so apply for only for the jobs under your like which has 0 to 2 years or 0 to 1 year experience. Okay, so don't look for jobs which has more where their minimum requirement is over 2 years. Second, okay, unless your resume has the keywords that they are expecting, you can't expect the manager or the hiring manager or HR manager to give you a call. So if they expect you to have, yeah, if the candidate as a fresher, he should have basic knowledge on plastic films part. Or if as a fresher, if they're expecting you to have basic knowledge on plastics tooling or manufacturing, ensure that you have all the keywords in your resume. If you have those keywords, yeah, you get a lot of chance to get into the industry. Third, referral. Okay, so referral is one of the best way to get into the industry. Talk to a lot of managed employees or people in the market or people working in the industry. And if you're lucky enough, there might be few people who can refer you in the industry. But from my experience, I can tell that a lot of engineers or people working professionals, they hesitate to refer someone. So getting a reference is really tough in the market. So try to talk to people, improve your network, and ask them whether they can refer you. And if they have any job openings in in their current company, and if they are ready to refer you, yeah, ask them to refer you. Reference will always work really well as a fresher if you want to get into the industry. So again, so now the question is, okay, so I have almost lost 1 year looking for a job now. Will I get into the industry? Will it affect my job prospect? Yes, of course, it will affect. Okay, the answer is yes. Career gap is a big red flag for any design engineer or any engineer in general. Okay, so ensure that you don't have any career gap, or if you have any career gap, make sure that you explain to the manager or the hiring manager why you have that particular gap and what you did in that gap. Okay, if you are able to explain them that, okay, I have been like going through some trainings, or I was upskilling myself, or you can say that I was preparing for GATE. So like yeah, after preparing now I'm like trying to enter into the design industry. But even like while preparing for GATE, I was also improving my skill set on per particular, yeah, plastics or BAW. If you're able to convince the manager that, okay, you have used the gap, okay, I mean, yeah, if you have used the gap to increase your skill set, it becomes easier for you to get into the industry. Okay, can you switch from a different domain to design engineering within the automotive industry? Okay, again, the question, I get a lot of questions from people from quality, people from manufacturing department, people from testing department. Okay, so a lot of people learn from quality manufacturing. The reason they want to get into design is the pay. Okay, normally manufacturing engineers, they don't get high pays compared to a design engineer. So design engineers, they get the highest package in the automotive industry, like yeah, in the mechanical field. And pay is the main reason why people want to get into design. And yes, there are very good chances that a manufacturing person can get into design, provided he has experience on he might not have the design knowledge, but he has a very good knowledge on manufacturing of that part. Okay, so that those are called the transferable skills. So you should understand what are the skills that can be transferred to your design job, and how to put that or how to highlight that on your CV. And you have to explain to the hiring manager how you are going to be an value addition to that current team, because you have very good knowledge on the GD&Ts. You have good knowledge on stack up. You will have good knowledge on manufacturing process. You will have good knowledge on material selection. These are few of the knowledge a basic design engineer will not have initially. Okay, so as a manufacturing engineer, if you can talk to the manager and make him understand your skill set will be used while you design a component, there are very good chances that the hiring manager will take you in as a design engineer. So end of the presentation. Yes. So time for questions. If you have any questions, I am ready to answer your questions. So before that, how was the session? Was it informative for all? Was the session informative? Okay. So I have, so yeah, thank you all. It was very informative. Thank you all. Thank you, Trivedi. So Sedu was asking, is there any use of having a knowledge in programming language? Good question. Yes. Like with the world moving towards automation, even a CAD design engineer. So when we work using CATIA, so for example, like I used to work with Ford on transmission. Okay, as normal basic transmission will have around 1500 to 1800 parts, components. Okay, so when we are required to what happens is like we create all the 1800 components individually and assemble it. Okay, and when it goes for the audit, we have to ensure that all the parts have material assigned to it, all the components have a proper tree structure, all the parts have a proper way, mass and volume attached to that, okay, the component. Okay, uh, these are requirements that we have to check during the quality audit. Okay, so a person can't go and check all these things manually for all the 1800 parts. So there we require automation. So we create programs like on VB script macros, which we have to run on all the components. So the program itself will go and check whether we have the data. So of course, like programming skills are really an added advantage. Do you have any questions? Thank you, Sedu. Please can you tell about domains and automotive like testing, design analyst, and what software they use apart from CATIA? Okay, so if you take the automotive industry will have manufacturing. You have people who work on the shop floors. Then there are testing people. Then there are people who work on real-time testing. Okay, and CA people. Okay, people like there's a separate team who works on computer-aided engineering, C like simulations. They use SAMSA. There are people who work only on pre-processing. Okay, then there are a separate team who works on solving. Then we have a styling team, an industrial styling team, like who use a software like Ison Surface or Alias to create the A-class surface. So after there's a sculpting team, they will work only on sculpting. Then there's a production team, supply chain, manufacturing, quality test, QC team. So these are like few of the teams like you have in the automotive industry. Okay, how do we get the recording of the section lecture? Okay, hello Hira, are you on the call? Fine. Let me explain. Okay, the if you have registered for this webinar, okay, the recording will be sent to your email, okay, on which you have registered. You can find the recording from your email. Do you have any more questions now?
Hello, Praveen.
Okay. Yes, Sindhu. Someone was asking
Yes,
for
they ask about the PLM, so how the PLM knowledge they will get like
PLM,
that.
right? Yeah. Thank you, Sindhu. PLM normally we use Team Center. Okay, few
Yes.
companies use Farag, few
Yes.
Winchell. Okay, there are multiple PLM tools we use in the industry. Of course, PLM tool knowledge you can get it only when you start working with the industry, because even if you're learning the PLM tool anywhere outside, you won't be learning the application. So once you start working with any company, you have to understand what kind of structure they are following in that company. So when I say PLM means like product lifecycle management tool. Okay, so all companies, whenever they create a component, they can't create the perfect component in the first iteration at all, right? So they'll have to work on multiple iterations, make multiple design changes to ensure that they get the final component. So all these iterations has to be saved somewhere. Okay, so let's say that I am working on a dashboard. Okay, I make some initial changes. Then I do some 4 or 5 iterations and I go to the ninth iteration. And again, after doing all the iterations, I feel that the ninth iteration doesn't look good. The fourth or fifth iteration was way better than the compared to the ninth iteration. So I can directly go back to the fourth iteration. I can take that component and I can make changes to it. Okay, so you need to have multiple variations of the component that you have already worked, and all this data is like saved in the product lifecycle management tool, PLM tool. So do you understand what is the reason for what is the usage of a PLM tool? And of course, like design team, like when we again in Ford, okay, there are multiple design teams. Okay, we work from USA, we work from North America, South America, from Brazil, from Germany, from South America, from Australia, from China. All these teams, they have to communicate and take the models. They will be working on a single we all will be working as a team, and we will be working on one particular component. Again, your product lifecycle management PLM tool helps you integrate or interlink with all these engineers around the globe. Okay, and to get a knowledge on PLM, you have to we can teach you like what are the tools or what are the topics that we use in PLM, but your PLM knowledge will entirely depends, or it will grow only when you start working in any organization, any design organization, where you will understand where we use the application of the PLM. Application knowledge is again important. Okay, so we have a question from Javed. So can you tell which course will be useful after knowing CATIA, 2D and 3D modeling, as you said, plastic surfaces? Okay, again, it's not about software, Javed. Okay, so be it any software, okay, entirely first focus on which companies that you're trying to apply for. And if the company is using CATIA, or check whether they are using SolidWorks, sorry, not SolidWorks, NX. So depending on the target company, like try to understand, or like, yeah, choose one particular software and get skilled in that. And after learning a particular software, focus on one particular domain, either plastics, BAW, we have body in white, we have a seating design, okay, we have brakes design, chassis design, powertrain design. When I say powertrain, engine design, transmission design, engine and after treatment, emission control and after treatment. We have climate control. We have HVAC, HVAC, heating, ventilation, and air conditioning. Okay. We have electric wiring harness. Okay. Driveline, brakes, axle. There are multiple domains you have you can take in the automotive industry. So depending on your interest, you can like choose your course according to that. Okay. So we have uh, Om. Sir, I'm currently a degree in mechanical engineering and postgraduate in automotive engineering. So what can I do for getting job in automotive industry? Oh, as I clearly said again, so if you want to get into the automotive industry, ensure that you learn either CAT, you become an expert in surfacing, either in CATIA or NX. Then learn one particular domain, do more projects. Your resume should have more project exposure, project knowledge, create a strong portfolio. Okay. And if you have all the skill set, you can start applying to companies. And very soon you can like, once you have built a strong portfolio and approach the industry, there are very good chances that they will look into your CV and call you for an interview. And what we can do here is we can train you in all these domains, and we can directly refer you, take your CV to the hiring manager and arrange an interview for you, which is what we normally do for all our students. Okay. And entirely it depends on how you perform in the interview at the end of the day, whether you get selected or not. That entirely lies with you. Am I clear? Recording and certificate. Okay. Certificate, everyone will, those who have been part of the session completely will get a certificate to their registered email ID. Recording, the same. Yeah. You'll be getting the to your email ID. So how many of you like want to become a plastic terms engineer now? So if you want to become a plastic terms engineer, you can just mention like whether you are currently you're a fresher, okay, and whether you want to get into the industry. So depending on whether you're a fresher or whether you're a experienced person, I can guide you accordingly. Normally, I will prefer people in their third year or final year to like start working on building their portfolio or building their resume. Okay, because once you come out of the like university, okay, you won't have time to build your skill set. Okay, so again, if you're trying to build your skill set, you will be wasting your time after the college, after your graduation, and that will create a career gap in your that will create an employment gap in your career. Okay, you'll have a gap in your career, which is like not recommended by any industry. Okay, so start improving your skill set right from the third year or final year, and so that by the time you come out of the industry, you can like look for a job and get into the industry. Because even now, I have seen people with who have completed their graduation in 2017 and 18, and still they're looking for a job because they want to get into the design industry. But again, they are not interested to learn. They feel that learning a software is enough for them. So they learn multiple softwares. So if I ask them, they say that I know AutoCAD, I know CATIA, I know Creo, I know SolidWorks, I know ANSYS, I know HyperMesh. Their resume will have almost all the softwares, design softwares. But if I give them a plastic model or if I give them a surface component, they will struggle in even one software. So being a jack of all softwares and master of none will not help them in any way. So understand that you should become a master in one particular software, and you should be proficient in modeling whatever models I throw at you. And if you are proficient in one particular software, you can always go for the second software. You can easily learn the second software in 1 or 2 weeks max. And again, as a design engineer, you don't have to learn ANSYS or HyperMesh, because when you plan to get into an automotive industry, if you take any OEM, they have specialized team for specialized activities. So a person who is working on CAE field he won't work on CATIA or SolidWorks or NX. He will work only on ANSA or Hypermesh. And even in the CAE field, there are pre-processing team, there are solution team, solving team. Okay, a person who is working on the solving team, he won't have to use Hypermesh or ANSA. He'll be using either LS Dana or Simulia or ANSYS. Again, a person who's working on Hypermesh, they don't need to learn Radios or ANSYS. So be specific on what you are targeting. If you want to get into CAE, learn CAE tool. If you want to get into design, learn any design tool which the industry is using. So focus on one particular topic, and then you can like get into the industry. Do you have any questions? Any other questions? Okay, there we have a question: is hand sketching and molding skill any use in the industry? Again, as I told, okay, hand sketching and molding skill set. First, hand sketchings are normally done by industrial designers. Okay, so there are people in the industry who will work only on hand sketching and creating the outer surface of the car. They'll work only on the styling. Again, to become a styling engineer, like the basic styling programs out in the market, they range anywhere around 5 lakhs to 6 lakhs. You should have very strong drawing skill set. You should have very good your laptops or your machine, what you're using, it should be of high standard, like high configuration. And again, it's going to be the program cost will be anywhere around 5 to 6 lakhs. And there are not many job opportunity for styling engineers. But again, if you are able to become skilled in one particular tool like Alias or ISM, and if you're able to find a job in the as a styling engineer, your easy your basic pay itself will start for around 15 lakhs to 20 lakhs, or at least minimum 10 lakhs. So the styling engineers are like in demand. Very few people have that knowledge. Again, you'll have to invest a lot of time. You'll have to invest a lot of money to get into that industry. Okay. Some companies ask for Siemens PLM Team Center experience. How will I learn that? Yeah. So again, Team Center experience you will get only when you start working with any companies. And that's the reason that they ask for the Team Center experience only for people with more than 2 years of experience. They don't expect it for freshers. But when we train our students, we also teach them PLM as well. We tell them what PLM is like. If you take one particular company, like how they PLM, how they use their PLMs. Okay, how because when we teach people, we have the experts from many companies. Okay, Mr. Sendil has good knowledge on Hyundai. He has worked on with Renault Nissan. Okay, both Renault and Nissan as well. So he will have exposure on both the PLMs used in Hyundai and Renault Nissan. If you take me, I can explain, in Daimler, Chrysler, in Mercedes-Benz, in General Motors, Mustang, Shelby, okay, Jaguar Land Rovers, Ford. So I have worked in all these companies and I have worked in all these projects. So I can explain the students in these methodologies. Okay, so again, the PLM entirely depends on one company to other. So do we have any people who are like interested to like become a plastic trims design engineer here? Anyone who wants to be a design engineer and who is not able to find a job, if you have any particular question, specific question, you can ask me the question, I can answer you. We'll take 2 more minutes to answer your questions. So if there are no questions, we can close the session for the day. Senthil, do you have anything to explain them?
Yes, we got some other questions like BAW fixtures design. So, okay, BAW product design and BAW fixture design, it's not same. And but still, if you improve your knowledge on a product design, you have a chance to switch from BAW fixture design to BAW design.
Correct.
Since you have a knowledge on the part regarding manufacturing, you have some basic, you can get some basic knowledge. But if you improve your design knowledge towards the particular part or component, then still you have a chance to switch from the fixture design to product design.
Right. So normally a BAW fixture designer who works only on solid modeling. So because they create the jigsaw fixtures for holding the BAW component. All the fixtures that we are designing will be designed using solid modeling. But a BAW product designer will work only on surfacing. So it's entirely two different, even the CAD methodology will be entirely two different thing. Okay. So BAW fixture designer will work only on part modeling, whereas BAW product designer will work on advanced surfacing modeling.
Okay, and many of you ask you questions like I have some career gaps, whether I can get this job. Okay, so how the industry people pick the guys means the person who have a skill set, for example. Okay, if you have a good skill set in that particular domain, and if you have some 1 or 2 year career gap, and if another guy who is a fresher and doesn't have enough skill set. Okay, industry people always go for the persons who have enough skill set. Okay, so improve your skill set in the particular domain. Okay, in CATIA or NX surface modeling, or if you want to go into some other not only for automotive. Okay, if you want to improve your knowledge, if you know SolidWorks, still you want to work on the SolidWorks, improve your knowledge on the particular domain. Only the software skill will not help you to get into the industry. Okay, so you have to understand the material selection, manufacturing process. So there are many things whichever you have seen in the job descriptions, whichever Praveen has shared with you. You have to improve your knowledge towards the particular domain. Okay, work on the more projects. Then still you have you can able to get into the industry.
Okay. So, I'm sharing you a topic here. So this is one of our students who has worked on a DFME sheet. So someone was asking like, what is DFME? So this is actually the DFME sheet I'm talking about. So here you can see this particular student have worked on cooling system. We have brake system, steering system, okay, suspension. Okay, so items. Then what is the potential failure that might happen here, and potential effect? What is the severity of the problem? Okay, or what is the reason for having the failure? Occurrences, that is like, yeah, when it can, like how frequent it's going to occur. Current design control, how are you going to control the design? Current design control type, is it preventive? Okay, or it's like only you find the issues only while through detection. Okay, detection, RPM, you have recommended action. What's your action plan, action taken, or what's the reaction results? What's the action taken, and severity of the issue. So this will be a basic DFME sheet. So you can see multiple DFME sheets if you check our site. So these are like a few of the projects our students will work. So it's again a DFME sheet here. So in this case, this particular student has worked on rim, brake system, transmission, serpentine belt, and radiator. Again, the potential. This is actually how a DFME sheet will look like. Okay, I can show you one more example of how a report will look like. Okay, normally when you work on a report, so this is like how a student will be preparing his report. So this particular student, he was here for an internship. During the internship, he was like learning about few components, automotive components, and this is the report that our students prepare. Okay, we have a seat mounting bracket. So what is the aim abstract of the design? Okay, and what are the design considerations we have to do? So this is what a hiring manager will expect. Okay, so when you work on a seat mounting bracket, okay, it's not only CAD. Okay, you should have knowledge on the design consideration. And if a hiring manager is able to see the design considerations we are used, and if you're able to explain him, there's no way that he will reject you at all. So what are the components that he's working? Okay, what are the material consideration? What are the commands you're going to use in CATIA to create this particular component? And step-by-step design methodology and step-by-step methodology. So how you extract the surface, from where you extract the surface, like step-by-step method on how you do it. So this was prepared by the student. Okay, so as a student, like you will be able to have a complete understanding of the design methodology, the design process involved, and how you create a model. And when you present to an interviewer or someone with all these portfolios and their project reports, normally they don't expect this from a fresher. And as a fresher, if you are able to convince the hiring manager, they get impressed straight away. So this is actually a seat mounting bracket. And this is how you're going to prepare. Okay, each of the student will be preparing portfolios like this, models like this. So finally, this is the bracket we are going to make. This is the master section. Okay, so this is a seat mounting bracket. This is a mounting cap for the seat and the floor cross member. And this is the cross section of the seat mounting bracket. This is the seat mounting bracket and your bolt. Okay, and normally, as a engineer hiring manager, we'll not only see how you design it, we'll also see how you, what is a design methodology or your specification tree. Have you designed it properly, or all the reference objects you use, are they categorized properly? Okay, these are all the design method intent we see from any design engineer student. So are we all clear? Is there any questions? Any more questions?
Few of them likes to know what are the where to learn this plastic trims and BAW.
What are the?
How to learn this BAW design methodologies and other stuff.
Okay, yes. Yeah. So all people who wants to know, you can just go to our website. Okay. Okay. So we provide trainings on product development. Okay. So it's not we don't teach softwares. We teach people on new product development, automotive new product development, plastic trims, BIW. We have trainings on electric vehicles. We have trainings on CAE, but entirely depending on the industry problems. Okay. So these are few of the trainings that we provide. So those who are interested, they can always approach us. Yeah, you can approach us on rift.com. You have a number here. You can call us, or you have a WhatsApp number on your homepage. Okay, you can just click on the WhatsApp as your queries. We can guide you on how to take up the program. So normally our training methodology will be, see, when I was talking about plastic drums, okay, so it's clearly mentioned what is the duration of the program. Okay, so and what are you going to learn here? So you're going to learn what is a trim, sub-assemblies, what are the trim overviews here. We'll teach you the basic shape design till the advanced, okay. Boolean operations. So as a plastic trims engineer, Boolean operations is again very much used. You should have very good knowledge on the Boolean operations, your trim design cycle. So this shows what you are going to learn in the program. Okay, your plastic trims manufacturing process, whatever I showed you in brief here, you will have separate classes, entirely complete classes on manufacturing. Okay, you'll have learning. Okay, this is the first project to be a harness mounting clip, which you have seen that. Okay, you have seen seat sun visor mounting clip. Okay, you have a harness mounting clip project. You have AC vent housing, remastering. So this is a remastering project. Okay, you have two remastering projects. So the way we have prepared the curriculum, this curriculum is prepared by top industry people from the industry, okay, top industry experts. We have curated this program according to fresher. So normally, whatever a fresher requires to get into industry to find a job, this program has been prepared, designed entirely to help the fresher find a job. Okay, so if a person is able to work on how to do AC venting housing, how to work on remastering, he will be able to clear the tool test easily, because you can expect remastering or 2D to 3D conversion projects for your in your interview. And when you start learning remastering or okay, you have 2D to 3D conversion. You have finally you can like learn even master sections here, but you need not expect master section questions because it's going to be an introduction for master section here. You're not going to learn the complete master section in level 1. So normally people with more than 3 years experience, they start working with master section. So as a fresher, if you have basic knowledge on master section, it's more than enough. You don't have to learn complete ones. Okay, and finally you have a door trim bezel patchwork project. Okay, so patchwork, normally you can expect them to give you a 2D comp, a 3D model and ask you to create new features on top of that. That's what we call as patchwork. Okay, and finally 2D to 3D conversion. So if you are able to complete all these projects, you'll be able to clear any tool test given by the industry for a fresher. So it becomes easy for you to find a job as a design engineer, right? Okay, so you can always contact us on WhatsApp or you can call us on the number provided. Any questions? Okay, I think we don't have any questions. Senthil, did you find any other questions as the students?
No, Praveen. Most of the things we have explained.
Explained, right? So yes. It's not, yeah, not only plastics, you can also find BAW here, body in white. So even engineers who want to get into body in white can also learn the body in white program. Yeah, they can learn body in white here. So again, when I say training, this is not CAD training. Okay, again, learning CAD and becoming an expert in CAD alone will not help you. You should have knowledge on manufacturing, the domain. You should have domain knowledge to get into the industry. So unless you don't have that domain experience or domain knowledge, it becomes tough. So start upgrading your skill set, and again, try to approach all the companies. Make sure that your resume has the proper keywords, okay, and certifications. Certifications are also important. Normally, when I say certifications, okay, a certification is only used to make people understand that, okay, you are skilled enough in one particular topic. It's again not going to help you. A certification is just a paper, okay, unless you are going to prove to the hiring managers that you know what you're talking about, the hiring manager will not take you in. So just getting into the interviews, your certification will help you. But if you say that you have knowledge, or if you have a certificate on plastic films, you see the certificate what you're getting in this session, it's just a plastic career guidance session. Okay. You'll have very basic knowledge on plastic terms now, from whatever I have told you. But again, if you're going to mention that you know very good plastic terms and again you're certified in that, their questions are going to be they're going to throw you more questions on plastic terms. Because when you say that you know a particular topic, you can expect a lot of questions from that topic. So ensure that whatever you have put on your resume or your CV matches with your knowledge. If they feel that you are just misleading them, or you're just trying to add more value to your resume with just names, but you don't have actual knowledge, you'll be out the very next instant. Okay, so don't lie on your resume. Right. Okay, so do we have any questions? If not, we can end the session now. So was the session informative for all? Are we getting any chats? I don't find any chat, Sindhu.
Yes, sir. They have someone asked about any females. They have any particular reservation in the automotive industry?
Yes, very good question again. A lot of companies,
Yes.
they prefer diversity. There's a term called diversity
Yes,
profile.
sir. Gender diversity. They
Gender diversity.
okay.
Okay. So every organization, they'll have a ratio of male employees to female employees. So female employees, they have like more advantages. They have more better advantage compared to a male counterpart. So there are
Many
few.
companies they are yes, many
Yeah,
companies they are doing separately recruitment drive only for the female employees.
correct. Exactly.
I've seen some Ford, Renault, Nissan. They are taking that means they are doing a separated drive to recruit the female employees to design, not only design, manufacturing, testing, all the departments.
If you take Ford, okay, in the Ford, every team should have 70 percentage male employees and 30 percentage female employees. So normally when we recruit people, candidates, design engineers, so after the 70 percentage, we'll always look for female employees. Even if the female employee has a good skill set, and they will be ready to take them in. Okay. So as a female employee, the ratio has to be maintained for all teams in Ford.
That too, if there is for compared to male employees, female employees have an advantage to switch into the whichever the domain they want after some. For example, after 3 years, 5 years, if you want to switch into some management activity, or if you want to move into this from design to quality, design to testing, okay, there are a lot of chances out there to switch between the industry, in between the teams, whichever you want. If you have passion on some other particular domain, okay, but initially you have a chance to work on the design, okay, later on you have a great chance to switch into your dream career.
Okay. So someone was asking like whether the sessions are going to be conducted online or offline. Right now, we are not conducting any offline sessions due to the pandemic situation. All the sessions are being conducted online. And because a lot of trainers, like they are from UK, United Kingdom and USA, they come and give you the training. So people from all the trainers whom we have are have more than 10 years of experience in the industry. Okay. So, and there are many trainers who are taking the classes from Germany and UK. So they don't come to India and give the training. So all the trainings are going to be conducted online. It's going to be a live training session. We don't go for recorder sessions, because this is going to be a product development training, not a software training. So the more you interact with the expert industry person, you will get to learn a lot from him. And understand that be very clear. If you go into an industry and if you are assigned a project, don't expect too many. Even your team lead or team member will not be able to support you too much. They can give you a training, but again, if you are facing any issues in your project, you will be the only person who have to figure it out, or you will have to fix it. And if you're not fixing it, you'll be more removed from the position. So there are a lot of people who are unable. There are many employees who are given a project, who have joined an organization. They are given a project, and they don't get any support from the team members, and finally they don't complete the project and they'll be moved removed from the organization. So don't get into that situation. And getting mentorship advice or from other experts in the industry is again very tough. So we are helping you in bridging that gap. We are trying to bring in the experts and help all the students or the design engineering community to find to how to find a job or how to get placed. Okay. So again, referrals, it's not easy. No, many people will not refer you. We can help you with referral also. Are there any questions? Okay, I have a question from Ravi Teja. Ravi Raja. Okay. I would like to learn plastic domain. How many days to complete the course? And I have 2 years gap. Oh God. Okay. 2 years gap, it's again a very big red flag. Sorry to say, Ravi Teja, Ravi Raja. So you should be in a position to explain why you have the 2 year gap. Okay, because normally as a hiring manager, when I see your resume and I feel that okay, so you have completed in 2018 and you have or 2019 and you have 2 years gap, I will normally like try to see what kind of profile you have, what kind of expertise you have. Again, if I'm not satisfied, I'll be like moving to the next resume. So having a gap again is a very big red flag. So ensure that you are filling that gap with something productive or some knowledgeable content. So at least even if it's a gap, again with a gap, it really becomes tough for you to start applying for jobs. Even if you apply directly to any companies, there are chances that they will reject you. They won't even call you for an interview. So try to talk to people and ask them to refer you. And if they're able to refer you, you can easily find a job. You can try to convince hiring manager. But again, that entirely depends on your skill set. And how many days to complete the program? Okay, yeah, this level one program, what I have told about the plastic terms, it's going to take 2 months. It's going to be the classes are going to be conducted daily. Okay, there are two types of classes we conduct. We conduct daily classes from 7 p.m. to 9 p.m. because a lot of people who come and take the training are people who currently working in an industry as plastic engineers. So they want to upskill themselves. So they complete their work and join after 7 p.m. So the classes will be conducted every day from Monday to Friday from 7 p.m. to 9 p.m. Or we have classes on weekdays, weekends, Saturday and Sunday. Saturday 4 hours and Sunday 4 hours. This is going to be our training. This is how our training will work. And it's going to be a live training. So you don't get recorder sessions. You'll have to be in the training, understand the training methodology, and start practicing. Yes, hi, Amit. Okay, I have some questions from. Okay, sir, currently I'm doing MTech and I have knowledge on SolidWorks, CATIA, and ANSYS. Okay, so SolidWorks, CATIA, and ANSYS. Okay, it's not. If you are going to work for any startup, then you all the three software knowledge will help you because you might work on both analysis and design at the same time. But if you're working on any OEM, then learning ANSYS and CATIA is not going to help you. Okay, focus on one particular domain. Vivek, yeah, and design bike, tractor, and currently designing car in SolidWorks. So what type of design job I can join, and I know how I can join. Okay, so I think you have designed everything in SolidWorks, right? So like in any car companies, like we don't use SolidWorks. So even if you have knowledge on SolidWorks or in a particular topic, the tool test what we are going to give you would be in CATIA. So if you are able to clear the tool test, you can join the company. But if you are not able to clear the tool test, you're out. Okay, sir, can I get the record of session for the last career path which is held on? Yes, I can. You can reach us, Ashwath. Okay. Amit says currently I am working. I have got 6+ years of experience in BAW fixture design. Can you please tell me how plastic films is good to help me to boost my career? I wouldn't suggest plastic films. I can just suggest you to go for BAW product design. Okay, because you already have experience on BAW fixture design. So you'll have good knowledge on the BAW manufacturing methods, techniques, and how you design the fixture. So instead, you can transfer your skill set to a BAW product design, understand advanced surfacing skill set, okay, and start applying for BAW product design as a product designer. Okay, so if you want to shift from one industry to other, like one domain to other, make sure that you have good knowledge on the particular skill set, what is required by the target industry that you're applying for. Okay, CATIA Rundex, which is in demand for the industry. Again, as I said, it entirely depends on which company you are approaching. Okay, if you are trying to apply for Renault, Nissan, okay, Mitsubishi, or any German companies, learn NX. If you are applying for any Korean car companies, Japanese car companies, US, French, Italian, Spanish car companies, United Kingdom, Great Britain, companies, Australian companies, all of them use CATIA. German companies, they use NX. Did I miss any questions? Okay, my sole aim is to move to European country as my client from Germany. Okay, yes, Amit. So if you want to move into European countries, let's say Germany, the minimum the work requirement experience requirement if you want to move to Germany is 5 years. So if you have more than 5 years of experience, you can start applying for job seeker visa and try to apply for companies in Germany. Okay, but again, they will expect more core domain knowledge, not just the CAD skill would be enough. So learn the domain, become an expert in CAD, learn the domain properly. You should have very good understanding on GD&T and manufacturing on costing techniques. And if you have very good overall knowledge on the complete product, you can apply for jobs in the European countries. They expect serious technical expertise from candidates. And as I said, okay, yeah, the career path is good. Okay, so normally even if you start with a low package in India, like if you are starting with 3 lakh or 4 lakh CTC in India, after 5 years or 6 years, when you try to get into Germany, you can easily expect anywhere around 5 to 6 lakhs per month or minimum 4 lakhs per month in Germany. I'm talking about per month salary. So a lot of design engineers, they initially gain knowledge in India, work in automotive OEMs, and finally they move to European countries for a higher package. Their package, like it goes up to 50 lakhs or 60 lakhs CTC for the same 5 or 6 year experience person. Okay, I'm also learning German also. Can you please suggest me any course associated to BAW product? Yeah, you can learn BAW product design. And as a design engineer, okay, yeah. So if you are planning to get into Germany and as a design engineer, ensure that you clear up to A1, A2, B1, B2. Okay, because you'll be talking to a lot of manufacturing professionals in Germany. And all these manufacturing professionals, many people, they don't speak English. They require you to speak German. So for any manufacturing engineer or design engineer who wants to get into Germany, at least clear up to B1, B2 level. Even the recruiter will ask you, okay, whether you know German, whether you have completed any German certification. Okay, and try to become fluent. C1 is not required. Okay, normally C1 is required for people who work very closely with the people who's talking in German. Okay, so all financial sector people, like people who work with top clients and people working on shop floors, they require up to C1, C2. You don't have to learn C1. Will the BAW course be offered in NX? Yes, we do offer our courses on NX as well. How Rift is going to help you? Yeah, Rift is going to give you all the knowledge that you require, and we can help you create your CV. We can help you create your portfolio. We can help you refer you into the industry, and entirely like how you perform, entirely like whether you get placed or whether you get selected, entirely depends on your performance. So we can take you to a place where you can give your best. Whether you give your best or not, entirely depends on you, lies with you. So can I leave the session because I don't? Okay, yeah. Those who don't have any questions, you can leave the session. And if we don't have any questions, I can end the session. Do we have any questions? Right. Okay, it's already like 4 minutes past the session. So yeah, thank you all for joining. If you have any questions, please feel free to drop your questions on WhatsApp. Okay, we will be able to answer your questions. Thank you all for joining. Thank you, Sindhul. Thank you, Hira, for arranging the session. Thank you, Sindhul.
Thank you, Praveen, for this wonderful. Thank you also for joining.
Thank you all.